The Chapayev and Sverdlov are a pair of 5.7 Russian light cruisers, being rather unique ships that fill numerous roles in cruiser battles. The Chapayev is a Project 68 class light cruiser. Originally being laid down in 1939, construction of the original 7 cruisers was delayed by the German invasion of Soviet Russia. 2 of the ships were captured during the invasion. Interestingly, one of these scrap ships was originally named Sverdlov, not to be confused with the Sverdlov I'm covering today. In 1950, the other 5 ships of the class were finished and commissioned by the Russian Navy. The Chapayev itself was decommissioned in 1960, with the last of the ships being decommissioned in 1981. The Sverdlov is a Project 68 BIS class light cruiser, the successor to the Project 68 class. Laid down in 1949, these were the last gun-based cruisers the Soviet Navy ever produced. Originally, 30 ships of this class were planned, but this order was eventually downsized to the final number of 14. The Sverdlov was decommissioned in 1989, with the last of the ships being decommissioned in 2000. The last ship of the class, Mikhail Kutsov, is still around today as a museum ship. Both the Sverdlov and Chapayev have the same primary armament in War Thunder, 12 6-inch B-38 cannons split into 4 turrets with 2 in the front and 2 in the back. These guns have very tight dispersion patterns but low per-shot damage. The initial fire rate of the B-38 cannon is 8 shots per minute, but after 18 shots, or 6 salvos, this fire rate slows down to 5 shots per minute. There are 4 shell types available to the B-38 cannon: OF-35HE with 6 kg of TNT and 50 mm of pen, B-35AP with 1.69 kg of TNT and 334 mm of pen, PB-35SAP with 5.9 kg of TNT and 173 mm of pen, and ZS-35 Distance Fuse HE with 6.56 kg of TNT and 53 mm of pen. The HE shell is overall very weak. 6 kg of TNT is fine for a 6-inch shell, but it deals very little damage to large ships. The AP shell is alright, though it has very low damage output against all targets unless you hit their ammunition racks. The best shell the Sverdlov has at its disposal is its SAP. You lose less than 2% of your explosive filler, and you gain quite a lot of armor penetration and a 9-meter fuse delay, making this shell perfect for tearing through the ammo or crew of enemy ships, regardless of their size. Lastly comes the distance fuse shell, which is just your average timed HE shell. Despite the large amount of explosive filler in the timed shell, it can't be used in place of HE ammunition as it will generally detonate farther away from a target and can deal little to no damage. It's alright, but I wouldn't really recommend it. Overall, I'd recommend bringing almost exclusively semi-armor piercing ammo, along with some armor piercing shells for fighting at longer ranges where the SAP fails to penetrate targets. Next comes the auxiliary and anti-air weaponry. The Chapayev comes with 4 dual-cannon 100mm SM-51 turrets and 14 dual-cannon 37mm V11 turrets. The Sverdlov kicks this up to 6 dual-cannon 100mm SM-51 turrets and 16 dual-cannon 37mm V11 turrets. The 100mm cannons make an effective deterrent to aircraft, especially when armed with the HEVT shells, easily swatting pesky planes out of the sky at medium range. The HEDF shells of these guns actually have more explosive filler, though the timed fuses are generally less accurate than the HEVT fuses. For the 100mm cannons, I would recommend bringing half HEVT and half HE, that way when the cannons are firing at ships, you're not losing SL. The 37mm cannons can tear apart both planes and ships, and within around 2 kilometers, it's worth swapping to the 37mm cannons to take care of enemy boats that wander too close. I generally leave these weapons targeting both aircraft and ships, and manually target them against airplanes that get too close. Lastly comes the secondary weapons. The Chapayev actually has none, while the Sverdlov carries 14 53-39 torpedoes. There's a single quintuple launcher on either side of the ship, with 4 torpedoes in reserve for reloading. These torpedoes are relatively fast, with a low range, but are never really worth taking as it makes the Sverdlov far more vulnerable by adding external ammunition racks. The survivability of both the Chapayev and Sverdlov is quite high. The Chapayev has 1,184 crew, high armor, and weighs 14,000 tons. The Sverdlov has 1,270 crew and is significantly larger at 19,000 tons, making it the heaviest ship in War Thunder currently. It's notable that the Sverdlov has a secondary 10mm deck spaced out above the main 50mm deck, making the ship more resistant to plunging fire. It also has the front and back ammunition partially obscured by fuel tanks, making them harder to detonate. I would consider these 2 meat tanks. Their armor won't stop most cannons, but the large hulls and high crew make them require a lot of fire to put down. When possible, angle the hull so that less of the side profile is shown, but all 4 guns can still remain on target. This vastly increases the survivability of either ship by obscuring the ammo and giving less hull to shoot. Lastly comes mobility. Both the Chapayev and Sverdlov top out at 61 km per hour. They also have pretty standard turning and acceleration. They're very average in this department. Now onto playstyle. The Chapayev and Sverdlov can be used in two ways. The first is to use the high survivability of the ships and the effective SAP ammunition to close the distance to targets and accurately target their ammunition with SAP, functioning as a brawler relying on high health with precise weaponry. The other playstyle is using the tight dispersion of the main guns to snipe from ranges where enemy weapons will deal very little damage to the ship. Both are highly effective, with either playstyle being able to devastate an enemy team when played right. Personally, I prefer playing it the first way, getting into close range and tearing down enemy ships with the SAP while relying on the tankiness of the Chapayev and Sverdlov to win most battles. The biggest threat to the Chapayev and Sverdlov is ships with a large number of guns or high splash damage. The large salvos of a Brooklyn or the immensely powerful shells of a Graf Spee deal damage over a very wide area and can quickly tear through the Chapayev and Sverdlov's crew, making these very bad ships to face. For modifications, both are the same other than the Sverdlov's Torpedo Mode mod. The recommended order is Toolset, Fire Protection, 152mm PB35 SAP, Rudder Replacement, Shrapnel Protection, Propeller Replacement, Improved Rangefinder, Ammo Wetting, 100mm ZS55R AAVT, and Engine Maintenance. Important crew skills are quite standard: Leadership, Main Caliber Reload Speed, Crew Interchangeability, Fire Prevention, and Ship Control. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more.